Hi guys, this is Hurricane. Fun facts about the Essex-Class ships. Let's get right to it.
Azur!
Fun facts about Intrepid. Origin of her name. She was the fourth one to bear the name Intrepid. And their namesake is the virtue of courage. She received lots of nicknames during the war. The first one is the Fighting Eye, because of her prominent role during the battles. And she mentioned this in her acquisition line.
Essex 級の The Fighting Eye イントレピッド参上指揮官戦闘任務があれば任せてくれ勝利と栄光を君に
Also this is referenced into her skill. The Fearless Fighting Eye. Also she earned bad nicknames as well, because of her bad luck. She was torpedoed once and hit by 4 separate Japanese kamikaze aircrafts. And she spent much time in dry dock for repairs. This one is also referenced into her self-introduction line.
私は Essex 級3番艦イントレピッドあの対戦ではちょっと不運が重なって変なあだ名をたくさんつけられちゃったけど重要なのは今指揮官の下で全力で戦ってみせる
Origin of her post-oath secretary line 1.
指揮官が海に落ちてもしっかり助けるよ大丈夫おおよその場所さえ教えてくれたらすぐマーキュリーとジミニのように見つけるさ
This is a reference of her service as a recovery ship for NASA's Mercury and Gemini missions, the Aurora 7 of the Mercury program in 1962 and Gemini 3 in 1965. This is also the reason why she is interested in stargazing and astronomy.
指揮官は星々を眺めるのが好き天体観測とかガチの趣味じゃなくてもいいよ興味があったらちょっと話そう
Also, she was preserved as the Intrepid Sea, Air and Space Museum located in New York. And later on she was officially designated as a National Historic Landmark. Origin of her secretary idol line 2.
潜水艦かまあ強いよ私ならちょっと対応できるかもしれないよ
This is a reference to her redesignation as an anti-submarine warfare aircraft carrier in the 1960s, when she was modernized and recommissioned. Origin of her strengthening line.
強化できるとこいくらでもあるよジェット機1ダースとか
This is a reference to the SCB-27, which was the United States Navy designation for a series of upgrades to the Essex-class aircraft carriers. These upgrades were intended to allow the World War II-era carriers to operate jet aircraft. Sortie line with Bunker Hill or Independence.
Task Force 38 Let's look!
She was part of the Fast Carrier Task Force, which is on the 3rd Fleet under Admiral William Halsey Jr., and had been renamed Task Force 38. Origin of her secretary touch line.
なんか飲みたいものないかってじゃあ
マティーニをステアせずシェイクして
Just kidding!
This is a fun reference to a famous signature line in every James Bond movie.
Just a drink. A martini, shaken, not stirred.
Shaken, but not stirred.
Vodka martini.
Shaken, not stirred.
Do I look like I give a damn?
Just kidding!
アズールレ
Fun facts about Bunker Hill. Origin of her name. She was named after the Battle of Bunker Hill as part of the Revolutionary War on June 1775 during the Siege of Boston. This is referenced into her self-introduction line.
エセックス級のバンカーヒルだ名はかの独立戦争の戦場から来ている活躍した戦闘は多いが悲しみと痛みをもたらす戦争のことだ多くは語るまい
Origin of her defeat line.
その力ドラゴン醸造もしのぐ強敵だというのか
Dragon Jaw is the nickname of an important bridge in North Vietnam. During the Vietnam War, the U.S. Air Force and Navy conducted 871 airstrikes against the bridge, but failed to disable it until 1972. The bridge was repaired later in 1973 and still stands until this day. Origin of her skill, Task Force Leader. Bunker Hill was the flagship of Task Force 58, commanded by Vice Admiral Mark A. Mitcher. Commodore Arleigh Burke was his chief of staff, and the admiral's staff all were accommodated aboard the carrier. Sortie line with Essex or Shangri-La.
エセックス級の前でお前たちは無力だ。
Sortie line with Eldridge.
レインボープラン。いい響きだな。
Operation Rainbow is reference to the Philadelphia experiment. It is allegedly a military experiment, where Eldridge was made undetected due to some cloaking device. Hi Shikikans, before we continue the video, here's another fun fact. You can decide which fun facts will be featured next. Please like and subscribe to be part of it, and vote your favorite ships. Alright, let's get back to the vid.
Azur
Fun
Ren.
facts about Shangri-La. Origin of her name. Her name was originally inspired from her predecessor USS Hornet's Doolittle raid. It was then President Roosevelt announced that the raid has been launched from Shangri-La, which is a fictional paradise or utopia, based from James Hilton's novel, Lost Horizon. This is also referenced in her self-introduction line.
私の名前、シャングリラは、かの大戦でのとある作戦に由来しています。エセックス級として様々な場所を歩き回った私は、このノートに数々の物事とエピソードを書き記すことができました。これこそ、私にとっての誇りです。
Also, she referenced the real Shangri-La in some of her lines.
指揮官はどのエピソードを聞きたいですか？人石未踏の安息地、それとも水平線の向こうの理想郷？あなたたちではシャングリラにたどり着くことは叶わないのですよ。この気持ちを一刻でも早くノートに書き記したいのですが、この両手には今もっと大切な役割があります。それはあなたを抱きしめること。これからシャングリラはずっとあなたと一緒に、あなたの行く道の先にある理想郷を目指して。
Origin of her secretary idol line 1.
この子のことが気になりますか？実は昆虫の観察も私の趣味の一つです。この子はパナマから連れてきました。
This is a reference to her early service during World War II. She completed fitting out at Norfolk and took her shakedown cruise to Trinidad on 1944. In the next year, she formed up with large cruiser Guam and destroyer Harry E. Hubbard, and sailed for Panama. Origin of her secretary idol line 2.
対戦作戦ですか？機会があればトライしたいですね。もしかしたら意外といけるかもしれません。
This is a reference when she was retrofitted and redesignated as an anti-submarine carrier in her last years of service. Origin of her task complete line.
任務が完了しました。今回の報酬は何でしょう？無人観測機？それとも。
This is a reference to how she sent remote-controlled F-6F fighters at Operation Crossroad to monitor radiation. This is also referenced in one of her skill. Observer of the Sky and Sea. Origin of her skill activation line.
嵐を越えて全力で挑む。
This is a reference on to how she was able to avoid Typhoon Connie with minimal damage on 1964. Sortie line with Essex.
安心して。私たちはきっと先輩を超えられます。
She just wants to cheer up the insecure Essex. Sortie line with Hornet.
飛行機を貸していただけますか？カウガールさん？
This is a reference to her namesake inspiration from the Doolittle raid.
アズールレーン。
Fun facts about Essex. Origin of her self-introduction line.
エセックス級のネームシップ、エセックスです。建造されてから多くの期待を寄せられていましたが、やはり私よりエンタープライズ先輩の活躍の方がもっと注目されていましたね。私だってもっと早く戦闘に参加していたら。
She was the fourth U.S. Navy ship to bear the name after the Essex County of Massachusetts. She succeeded the Yorktown-class, but even though she had better and improved design, she was still overlooked because of Enterprise's accomplishments and service history. This is also the reason why she talks about Enterprise in some of her lines.
みんな、エセックス級は強いと認めていても、いざ口にすると、やはりエンタープライズ先輩ばっかり。はあ、エンタープライズ先輩、私の活躍を見ましたか？
She is probably jealous.
妬み？いいえ、そんなことはありません。エンタープライズ先輩は、私たち全員に尊敬される英雄です。ただ、彼女の七光だとされていることは、私には、やっぱり。
Origin of her secretary idle line 2.
私には同型艦がたくさんいますね。ネームシップとして頑張って、手本を見せてあげないと。
The class consisted of 24 vessels, which came in short hull and long hull versions. 32 ships were ordered, but as World War II wound down, 6 were cancelled before construction, and 2 were cancelled after construction had begun. 14 ships of the class engaged in combat operations during World War II. No Essex-class ships were lost to enemy action, even though several sustained crippling damage. Origin of her secretary idle line 3.
武蔵とヤマトですか？彼女たちは、尊敬すべき素晴らしいライバルです。いつかまた出会えたらいいですね。
This is a reference during the Battle of the Cebian Sea where they raided the Japanese forces. This is where they encountered and sunk the heaviest battleship of the Imperial Japanese Navy. Origin of her skill, valorous Avengers. While their primary aircraft used were Dauntless dive bombers and the Wildcat fighter planes, they were replaced by Helldiver dive bombers and Hellcat fighter planes. Also, they're added with Grumman TBM Avenger torpedo bombers. It showed effectiveness and advantages such as efficiency and outnumbering the enemy aircrafts. Origin of her Affinity Stranger line. Hi Essex, what can you say about the status of battleships after the course of the war?
対艦巨砲主義の時代の終焉をこの目で見届けました。航空母艦の時代もいつか終わりを迎えるのでしょうか。
Hi New Jersey, what can you say about the statement of the CV-9 Essex?
戦艦が時代遅れになろうとも、アイオワ級は違うわよ。
This is a reference during the battles in Pacific Ocean during World War II. Because its outcome didn't depend on the primary armament of battleships anymore, opposing ships never use artillery salvo during that war.
Azurで。
Fun facts about Ticonderoga. Hi Shikikans, I already featured her on my previous video during the Mirror Involution event. Check it out at the end of the vid. Also, please comment your favorite facts or ships. And like and subscribe to vote for the next fun fact video. Peace out.